So I wanted to talk about moving these cars without the transmission in them. It's not very hard, and we run into it occasionally. We have one full lift here, and we have a low-rise lift over there. And so we get a lot of cars in, and a lot of them need their transmissions rebuilt. And, no matter how caught up we are, how much planning we do, usually takes a week to get one of these transmissions turned around into the quality that we want. And so sometimes we need to roll a car out of the shop and work on the transmission while we pull the transmission out of another one. And so this isn't terribly uncommon for us, and I just wanted to let you know there's some precautions you need to take because these are a unitized bearing in these cars, and it's basically an assembly, and if you don't take the right precautions to keep that bearing preloaded, it can actually fall apart. Here you can see where your axle hole goes in, and if you don't address this, the bearing will be damaged just from rolling around in your lot or whatever you got going on. So you normally have your CV axle in here, but if you take your trans out, which this one's going back in, but if you take your trans out, you won't have an axle here, and if you try putting your axle in there and rolling the car around, obviously your axle is going to be flopping around in there and dragging the earth and causing you all sorts of headache. So what we do is we'll have a stub axle here that's simply an old CV axle we took the shafts out of, and you can just put this in here from the back, just like you, sorry if you can't see very good, just like you usually would, and then just put your nut on there and tighten that down. And it doesn't need to be exactly 165 pounds or whatever the stock one's supposed to be, but pretty snug. Just hit it with an impact and make sure it's not coming loose. The other thing you can put a long bolt and some big washers on each side. Just make sure it supports the back side of the bearing, a lot like that does. Because if you just put a bolt through there that's only the size of that shaft, that probably isn't doing a lot of good. So we're just trying to keep the bearing from falling apart. And then I've left cars, like my personal car like that, for months, and it's fine to roll them around and everything like that. And if you convert the car to rear-wheel drive by welding the center diff inside your transmission, you can also make sure the front hubs are okay by doing that. I really like to use an old CV axle just because I know that it's exactly fitting perfectly and it goes through the splines and lines everything up. Particularly if you're going to rear-wheel drive a car and drive on it for a long time, you certainly don't want your front wheel bearings coming apart. And so that's just a quick tip for you. So if you need to send your transmission in but you can't have your car taking up a lift or jack stands or anything, just grab some old CV axle stubs or some bolts and large washers and just make sure your bearings are back together. At that point, it's just a matter of putting your knuckle back together just like you would in your steering and other elements like that, just making sure that your brake lines and things aren't dragging. So I hope that's helpful. If you need your 3000 GT or Dodge Stealth transmission rebuilt, see us at rvengeperformance.com. We're also starting to do the Eclipse and DSM transmissions, and we actually have a Turbo 400 out of a Chevelle on the bench, so we're expanding our offerings. So if you're not sure if we do something, just email sales at that's our old company, sales at rvengeperformance.com, and ask us if we can do something for you, and we'd be glad to check it out and see what we can do.
Revenge Performance is the place to get the parts and the advice to help right the wrongs on your vehicle. We partner with the industry leaders in parts distribution and warehousing to get you the best possible prices, the widest selection of parts, and the fastest shipping. With our real-time inventory on our website, if we say we have it in stock, it's ready to ship. From us or from our many national distribution partners. With hundreds of thousands of parts available, I guarantee we can get revenge on your ride.